Breaking developments today in the ongoing Epstein probe in the House Oversight Committee. The Oversight Chair, Republican, now demanding former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton show up for in-person depositions next month. MS Now's Michael Schnell is joining us from Capitol Hill. So, Michael, let's back up here. Remind us, what does the Oversight Committee want to ask the Clintons?
Yeah, Anna, look, let's just sort of set the scene a little bit here, some context. This comes from that subpoena that the House Oversight Committee had approved over the summer. They had also approved that subpoena for the Epstein estate files. That's why we're seeing all these documents come up. The committee says around 65,000 since that subpoena went through. And they've also asked to bring a number of officials and public figures and political figures before the committee to ask them questions. Now, among those names are former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today, Warriors. We have got to talk about that Bill and Hillary Clinton would actually be arrested. That's what I'll be talking about today on Chat with me, Linda B. All right, Warriors, you know what to do. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications, stick around to the very end. Let's go. Bill and Hillary Clinton. Boy, those jokers are more slippery than oil. Yes, they are. Yeah, it looks like they've got some subpoena dates that they have to comply with. And I'm going to show you guys the news clip, but House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer said he is prepared to have the Clintons arrested if they do not comply with the subpoenas. Because they were supposed to have shown up in October, but there was this little bitty thing called the government shutdown, and now it has been rescheduled for mid-December. But first, I'm going to share with you a couple of news clips, and I'll be right back.
More breaking developments today in the ongoing Epstein probe in the House Oversight Committee. The Oversight Chair, Republican, now demanding former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton show up for in-person depositions next month. MS Now's Michael Schnell is joining us from Capitol Hill. So, Michael, let's back up here. Remind us, what does the Oversight Committee want to ask the Clintons?
Yeah, Anna, look, let's just sort of set the scene a little bit here, some context. This comes from that subpoena that the House Oversight Committee had approved over the summer. They had also approved that subpoena for the Epstein estate files. That's why we're seeing all these documents come up. The committee says around 65,000 since that subpoena went through. And they've also asked to bring a number of officials and public figures and political figures before the committee to ask them questions. Now, among those names are former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton. So the committee coming out today saying that they have set dates for those depositions. Bill Clinton for December 17th, Hillary Clinton for December 18th. Anna, I want to make something very clear. Those dates are not agreed upon yet between the Clintons and the committee. I'm told by a source familiar that the committee has been in conversations with the Clintons on finding a date, but this is just sort of what they are aiming for right now. Now, we know that throughout this entire Jeffrey Epstein saga and story, Republicans have been saying that they want to get the files released because they want to find out Democrats' involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. They want to find out more in those areas, and they often talk about the Clintons. This especially came after we saw that nearly unanimous vote in the House, 427-1, in support of releasing the Epstein documents. So this is essentially right now Republicans inching closer towards, hopefully, they hope, asking Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton questions about their involvement, proximity, how much they knew Jeffrey Epstein, and so on. And it sort of goes hand in hand with this long-running argument among Republicans that they want to release the files, not so much for Donald Trump information, which we've been hearing from Democrats, but to hear about the Democrats' involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
Paint the picture here for us. A former president, a former Secretary of State being questioned. What would that even look like?
Yeah, well, this would probably be closed-door depositions. And again, Anna, I want to make it very clear that this is not something that's yet agreed upon. This is what the committee is aiming for. They are in conversations with the Clintons. This would likely be a closed-door deposition, so we would have to glean information from what members tell us when they leave the room. There would likely be a transcript released afterwards, but a pretty extraordinary moment, right? The Clintons, Bill and Hillary, are two of the most well-known Democrats, and to bring them before the panel to talk about something like this Jeffrey Epstein case, which has sort of been roiling the political world, particularly Washington right now, it would be an extraordinary moment, and certainly one that Republicans would look towards as they are continuing this investigation. Likely Democrats, though, would try to move the conversation back to Donald Trump.
Yeah, they love to just move the conversation back to President Trump, the Democrats. But you know what I'm finding as I've looked at multiple things about this whole Jeffrey thing and the island? He donated a lot of money to Democrat politicians, not Republicans. Almost 90% of the time, Democrat politicians, and they had a falling out. Jeffrey and President Trump, well, he wasn't president at the time, but in the early 2000s had a falling out over President Trump outbidding him for a West Palm Beach, Florida property. And so they had a falling out then. He was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. So Jeffrey was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out when he found out he was acting inappropriately towards young girls who were working there at the Mar-a-Lago resort. So, and I've seen multiple instances where people keep trying to connect President Trump to this evil satanic man who thankfully is no longer on the face of this earth. And I'm talking about Jeffrey and that doggone island. But we got to talk about these Clintons. The Clintons, particularly Bill, according to Trump, President Trump has been to that island 28 times. And then there's this whole picture of Bill in a blue dress and red heels. You guys tell me if you think that picture is real, because I don't even know if I think that is real, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. I can tell you who was not on the island. I was not on the island. I promise you I was not. But there are so many things going around with people, these women that are coming out saying they're going to come up with their own list. And I don't think we've seen the list. And I am all for people who do satanic things being put behind bars. If it is proven that they are guilty, they should be handled accordingly. They should. However, there is something not sitting right with me with those women when it comes. Yes, I'm talking about the ones that are coming forward with Marjorie Taylor or Marjorie Trader Green and saying that they're going to come out with their own list. Why haven't they come out with it yet? Something doesn't smell right. This does not pass the smell test. But next, I have James Comer, and I want to show you this clip right here because he's saying that if they don't comply, talking about Bill and Hillary Clinton, they could be arrested.
Two very important people that you subpoenaed early on, or excuse me, that you asked to voluntarily cooperate. They didn't schedule their interviews. Now there's a subpoena. But Bill and Hillary Clinton, if they continue to duck you, will you take them to court? Will you try to enforce a subpoena? Will you go the Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro route?
100%. We're going to go that route. We expect to hear from Bill and Hillary Clinton. Look, Donald Trump's answered questions for years about Jeffrey Epstein. Every day he gets asked questions about Epstein and he answers them in front of the American people. We've subpoenaed Republicans and Democrats. Two Republicans have come forward, Bill Barr and Alex Acosta. They did interviews and deposition, and those were tough, but they did them. They didn't back down. Other Democrats have sent letters that saying they knew nothing about Epstein, which would hold in court if something ever comes out that they did know something, then they've committed perjury there. But the Clintons have never responded. They're the one group in this investigation that's never had to answer questions in front of a credible reporter, and they've never certainly answered questions from attorneys or members of Congress. So we expect the Clintons to come in, or I expect the Clintons to be met with the same fate that Bannon and Navarro were met with when the Democrats were in control.
And just to refresh your memory, Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, they did serve prison time. Yes, for not complying with subpoenas. And they served like 4 months each. And I think the fine was like $6,500, which to me is like a slap on the wrist. Yes, Steve Bannon was high up in the first Trump administration, but then President Trump fired him. All right, so, and you know, these people don't ever really get any hardcore time. Like that was 4 months, but I'm gonna tell you something. He said, yes, that was James Comer. He said that Bill and Hillary Clinton were the only ones who have not answered anything. Why do you guys think that is? I believe it's just my opinion that they are in some deep sugar honey iced tea. And it's just my opinion that I believe that they're guilty of some horrific crimes. I mean, Hillary herself has gotten away with a lot with the emails, the tens of thousands of emails, that whole Benghazi thing, and she slithered her way out of that. Now, this whole Jeffrey thing in the islands, and they had to reschedule it, and they got to show up next month, December 17th for Bill and December 18th for Hillary. And we got to see what's going on with these people. I really believe that President Trump was telling the truth when he said Bill was at that island about, I think he said 28 times is the number. 28 times. And I've seen a lot of information on this whole Jeffrey thing. And Prince Andrew, oh my goodness. The royal family's Prince Andrew is not looking good on him. I mean, when I say it looks terrible on him, it looks awful. The whole Virginia Jeffrey thing and that infamous picture, you guys have probably seen that picture. And what she said about him. Now, she said nothing about President Trump. Virginia Jeffrey was very open, and unfortunately, she's no longer with us. She took her own life. And also, she said that President Trump was only professional and nothing happened as far as she knows with President Trump. So everybody is saying President Trump, there's no evidence tying him to any nefarious illegal activity. The Democrats are going to try and push it off on Trump because they got to try and demonize him. They got to find a way to legitimately impeach him, but there's no legitimate reason to impeach him. And in my opinion, Democrats are caught up in this Jeffrey stuff. It's them. I mean, Bill Gates. I mean, not just politicians, but like businessmen that are Democrat Party friendly, like Bill Gates. And of course, I mentioned Prince Andrew. And then you've got some other names that have come up. Bill and Hillary Clinton, what y'all gonna do? I said in another video, I don't know if y'all gonna get plastic surgery or run to another country. What are y'all gonna do? What are you gonna do when they come for you? That's what I want to know. You guys tell me what you think. Now, I do have a little bit more information here. And just to give you guys a little bit more information about these initial deposition dates, they said, again, I said they were originally in October, but there was the shutdown, and then they've been rescheduled for mid next month. And the question is, why did Hillary Clinton and Bill, why have they not complied yet? And it says as of November 23rd, 2025, neither one has appeared for a deposition, but this is not a complete refusal or non-response. Their attorney, David Kendall, responded in writing on November 3rd, acknowledging the subpoenas and welcoming legitimate oversight grounded in fact. However, Kendall argued that in-person depositions are unnecessary because the Clintons have little to contribute beyond publicly known facts. Acknowledged flights were humanitarian work. Oh, so those flights. So their lawyer is saying that the flights were humanitarian work. That humanitarian work can be taken a number of different ways with no evidence of wrongdoing or knowledge of Jeffrey's crimes. All relevant information can be readily submitted on paper via a written proffer, avoiding the burden of sworn testimony. Other subpoenaed witnesses, some former officials, were allowed written statements after affirming under penalty that they had no relevant knowledge or faced health issues. Accommodations the Clintons claim should apply here. Comer rejected this in his November 21st letter, stating the committee isn't obligated to accept written submissions when the Clintons' Jeffrey ties, including newly released emails and photos, suggest they possess unique information. Ooh, they possess unique information. He emphasized good faith in negotiations, but insisted on in-person appearances, noting delays as playing games. A committee spokesperson echoed this, saying the Clintons haven't agreed to propose dates despite outreach. Clinton spokespersons have not issued new statements post November 3rd, but previously denied wrongdoing. Bill's team called recent Jeffrey email releases noise meant to distract and affirmed he did nothing and knew nothing. No formal contempt referral has occurred yet, as dates are upcoming. All right, dates are upcoming. Okay, so again, remember with the Clintons, their names like kept coming up. Bill Clinton, his name kept coming up, and other Bills and all these other folks that names continuously continue to come up. Now, one thing I will say about President Trump, and he said this during his first presidential run in 2015, he said Bill Clinton has some problems with that island. He said it. He said he is a nice guy, but he got some problems with that island. And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of times President Trump will say something and it will seem like so crazy. Like, remember during the debate with Kamala Harris, he mentioned they're eating the dogs and eating the cats. And it sounded so wild. But then there was this YouTuber by Nick Shirley named Nick Shirley went to that neighborhood and talked to people. And it turned out there was some legitimacy to what President Trump said. See, when he says something, and I'm talking about President Trump, people want to dismiss it or discount it as having no truth to it. But later we find out that there is truth to it. And when he said Bill Clinton has problems with that island and he has been to that island 28 times, I believe that was the number that he gave. Y'all, if this goes like all those other Trump claims have gone, it's going to come out that Bill Clinton is, I'm just going to say allegedly up to no doggone good. Okay, he was up to no good. I don't know if he can do anything right now. He's rather up in age. He probably wish he could. But I'm just telling you, if you think about it, go through the history of when President Trump says things that we just brush off like that's just crazy. And then we find out later it's true. Like when he said the news is fake, when he said other things about the animals, and he said a lot of things, and it'll always come up true. I'm like, Lord have mercy. This is not good, guys. But tell me what you think. Do you think Bill and Hillary Clinton will spend a day in jail? One day. One day. Will they take the perp walk? Are we going to find out some nefarious things going on with them? Now, I'm telling you, Bill Clinton been on that plane. Allegedly, but he's been on that plane. I'm telling you, he has. Bill Clinton, you know, you have been on that plane and been to that island. You know you have. He says it's for humanitarian work, but he said he said it, but he said it was for humanitarian work. Now, you can take the word humanitarian to mean a lot of different things. If you got a twisted up enough mind, you certainly can. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. March on, warriors.